Happy terrific Tuesday, everyone. We are back with another live. Again, my name is Xavian Tate. I'm the CEO of Light of the World, and this time I brought along some friends. Say hello to my sister, Sha-Sha the Dweeb, Stacia.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Stacey Tate. My online persona is Sha-Sha the Dweeb. I'm a podcaster. I'm also a behavioral health technician, as well as a jack of all trades, master of a few.
Love it. I'm so excited for her to help me co-host this awesome live stream. Everyone, you are in for a wonderful treat because we have an honorary, amazing special guest, the amazing Dr. Kojo Sarfo. And he does a lot. Dr. Kojo Sarfo, Dr. Nurse Practitioner, Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner and board certified, is a social media content creator, mental health nurse practitioner, and psychotherapist with over 3 million followers on all of his social media channels. That includes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and even Triller. He posts skits, songs, and videos in order to bring people together and to promote mental health awareness. On social media, he uses relevant trends and popular music to educate individuals about mental health conditions and the importance of self-care. Dr. Sarfo is also the author of an amazing best-selling book entitled You Already Won. He also is working on a second book, which will be a mental health workbook. He is also the host of Late Night with Dr. Kojo, which is a daily live show that streams primarily on Facebook on Monday through Thursdays at 6 p.m. And we are very honored and blessed to have him with us because today's topic is suicide prevention. We're here to today we call it Light the Dark, shining the light on suicide. So let's go ahead and get started. How are you all doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
What's up? Thank you. Thank you for agreeing. And now, because suicide is a wonderful topic, we want to go over some self-care and some suicide terminology. All right, Sha-Sha, take it away.
Okay, so first of all, I definitely want to put out a small disclaimer. I want you to take care of yourself. We're going to talk about some really, really heavy stuff today. So pause it, come back to it later. We're live streaming it, so you can always stop and come back whenever you want. And the audio will be found on my podcast later on this evening. So if it becomes too much or you have uneasy feelings or unwanted feelings, feel free to step away from your computer or laptop or phone or whatever you're using and come back later. So put yourself first. Self-love ain't selfish. Okay, so some of our terms. So the definition of suicide is a death caused by injuring oneself with the intent to die. I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
It's all good.
It's all right. We love technical difficulties.
Right.
I think it's just because I'm so nervous.
It's all right.
No worries.
It's all right. Just take a breath because we're here to talk about it.
Yeah. It's good to be nervous. It means that we care.
Yeah. Okay. So the next term is committed suicide, which is a person that died by suicide. A successful suicide attempt, it says suicided. I'm not sure why they put that like that. And then completed suicide means ended his or her or their life. Failed attempt at suicide is a non-fatal attempt at suicide, and an unsuccessful suicide is an attempt to end his or her or their life.
Love it. Thank you, Thank you, Sha-Sha. And just to go back over those terms, basically, when we're talking about suicide, it is very taboo. It can be very stigmatizing. So the terms that Sha-Sha just went over, instead of saying committed suicide, we're saying died by suicide, and so on, because term language matters and such things. So hopefully that makes sense. And of course, we're all about statistics and everything. So according to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, suicide is the 12th leading cause of death in the US. There are approximately 130 suicides per day on average. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for teens and young adults ages 13 to 19. It is the second leading cause for ages 20 to 34, and it's the fourth leading cause for ages 35 and 44. And then, Sha-Sha, do you have any more statistics you want to add?
I do. So I kind of wanted to go over statistics for people that look like me. So I just named it Black statistics. Honestly, I didn't know what to call it. So the suicide rate among Black youth experienced an upward trend with the largest percent change in the 15 to 17 year age group. Is 4.9%, and among girls is 6.6%. Each year between 2003 to 2017, and between 2014 to 2019, the suicide rate increased more by 30% for Black individuals. So we just gotta take care of ourselves and take care of the people in our community as well. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, it's frowned upon and like taboo pretty much to talk about things like suicide and things like that. And I know it's a heavy topic. No one really wants to talk about it. It's not fun. Okay, it's not like we're sitting here trying to figure out how to bake a cake, but it's a important conversation because it is happening. We can't just keep closing the door and putting a comforter over our eyes like, oh, well, we'll deal with it tomorrow. No, don't talk about that, not to talk about Bruno, so to speak, and suicide is definitely Bruno, but it's important because it's happening, and it's usually happening, unfortunately, right up under our noses. Our kids, our siblings, sometimes our parents, our cousins, our best friends. A lot of people are struggling in silence, and that's what hurts my feelings the most. Is that it's usually so close to us, and we don't pay any attention, or we choose to ignore it until it's too late, and then it's actually hit home from us.
Most definitely. So this mission is very personal. I love what you said, Sha-Sha. It's very personal for me because again, it hits home, and in the family, I have a family member who had an attempt. I had a mentee and a best friend. They died by suicide summer 2019. And then I have my other best friends. They are survivors. So we have work to do, basically, and it's very personal. And that leads to my question, like, Dr. Kojo, how did you find yourself in the mental health field?
So I like to say that I found myself in the mental health field on accident, and I stayed on purpose. When I was back at West Alabama and I was doing my nursing school education, I had a chance to go over to Meridian to do my clinicals over there, and I had a chance to see what a psychiatric hospital looks like. And I told myself that if I had a chance, I would look into working in that environment. And I worked in the ICU for 9 months after I graduated, and my dad convinced me to move back home to Augusta, Georgia from Macon, because that's where my first job was at. And he convinced me to move back and try the psych job. And once I got into the psychiatric hospital, it was weird because I'd never seen that environment that intense before. But once I, kept going with it, I really realized that there were people who, people were suffering, and people needed to talk to somebody. And for me, I found the job to be easier than any other type of job because I'm just talking to people and I'm just connecting. So after I realized how things were, I decided to stay in and, of course, further my education and go back and do my doctorate. But I think it wasn't by accident that I got in, right? But regardless of the fact I got in and I decided to stay in on purpose, and I feel like it's my greatest joy has been able to be a mental health advocate online and with my patients, when I was seeing patients on a day-to-day basis.
Love it. Thank you for sharing.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sha-Sha, you have anything on your end?
Not at the second.
What's up?
I still have butterflies. So it's kind of what's inside right now.
Hey.
I'm just going with the flow.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you're feeling, like I think it's important that we feel and that we're authentic and transparent with each other, because I remember I was on live the other day and somebody was asking what therapies or what types of strategies I use to, help out my patients. And I don't think that that's that important, whether it's CBT or DBT. It's important about how we treat people, and for example, today I woke up and I saw that, Takeoff, one of the rappers from the Migos, was killed. Like we see this stuff over and over and we become numb to it and we just go about our day, but we have to stop and understand that like we're hurting and we have to reach out to each other, and that human element, sometimes that's what that might be suicide prevention, just caring for other people. Like it's simpler than we think, and that's why it's something that we can all do. Like you don't have to be a doctor to help out, or you don't have to have known somebody who's a survivor or has had an attempt or has died by suicide. Like just by wearing a bracelet. Like I'm wearing this suicide prevention bracelet here. I'm not sure if y'all can see it.
Yeah,
and I have my pins on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this from Alabama when I came down there, and to be honest, when I first put it on, it said suicide prevention, and on the backside it says, "My story isn't over," with a semicolon. And for me, at first, I was a little scared to put it on. I'm not gonna lie, because like if somebody sees it, they'll think to themselves, "Oh, did this guy try to commit?" But then I realized I'm like, it's not about that, because I haven't had a suicide attempt and I haven't been suicidal, but that's what being allies about, putting yourself in that position to where you can go out there and sit with people in their pain. And it will be a little uncomfortable if somebody comes up and like, "Hey, I want to talk about your bracelet," but that's the point of the bracelet, to get the conversation going. So, sometimes it's as simple as just wearing a bracelet. Like you don't have to do too much. Maybe somebody might see it and say, "Oh, maybe I had somebody who, died by suicide. Thank you for wearing that." So the small things can go a long way. And I have to keep that in mind, because sometimes I like to complicate it. And I'm like, "Oh, who should I talk to? Or how do we, promote this message?" Or sometimes it's the small things, like just wearing a bracelet or a shirt or the pins, because people are interested in like what we're wearing, like what shirt are you wearing? Where'd you get it from? Where do you shop at? So it's a great way to advertise a message,
Definitely.
No, most definitely. It's the advocacy for me. I love it.
Right.
Because suicide prevention is everyone's job.
Yeah.
You don't have to have like this long fancy title behind your name. You don't have to go to school for 32,000 years. It's your job. Care.
Right.
That's it. If you love yourself and you love the people around you and you care, then this is the right job for you. You're in the right spot.
Yeah, I agree. And especially within our community, because like you said earlier, we don't talk about it a lot. A lot of times, I was watching this interview with Charlamagne the God, the radio host who's in New York on the Breakfast Club, and he said that, he was grown, like he was in the middle of writing a second book when his dad admitted to him, "Hey, 30 years ago, I tried to kill myself." And a lot of times we have these things in our families, but we won't talk about it, for fear of embarrassment, or, they'll say, oh, we'll go to church on Sunday and we'll pray about it, and, you'll be healed. And a lot of times, if you're still in pain and you went to church and you prayed about it, you're wondering, why am I still in pain? And then your parents, your support system is like, oh, you're not praying enough. So you start praying more and more, and you start like spending all your time praying, and then you're still in pain, and it's very confusing. So it's helpful to have that conversation in our community, so that way people who are hurting at least feel like they're normal, right? Because they're gonna feel like they're an outcast if I prayed, all day, every day. I've gone to church on Sunday. I went to Bible studies on Wednesday. I want to get on Friday night, and I'm doing all this outreach, but I'm still in pain, right? Sometimes it is helpful to go out and get a therapist, or it is helpful to, go out and get a doctor. So just having that conversation, I think, is going to liberate a lot of people, especially in our community, because, like you said, the numbers are going up for Black youth, especially during the pandemic. So by talking about this, I feel like if one person watches this podcast and decides to, I'm going to stick around, then it's a success. Like, one person who takes their life is one person too many. And you said 130 people do it. So it's like, today, like, we're doing this podcast, and 130 people are gonna, like, so like, that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, that's scary, man.
Yeah.
And reiterating what you said about the praying it away and stuff, that is huge in our community. It is huge. Like, oh, you're not praying hard enough, pray some more. Niggas slinging oil everywhere and stuff, and like, this is why I can't talk to you.
Right.
Like, you have to listen to understand, not here to respond. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of us as humans do. We don't mean to, but it's kind of like an instant, thing. Like, we've been doing it so long, we don't realize we're doing it. But sometimes you just have to stop, take a breath, and tell yourself to relax. Because you can't talk and listen at the same time. I've tried it. It does not work. So we just have to keep that in mind, and we have to remove ourselves, take ourselves out the way. Like, it's not your story. You can't finish their story for them. So you can maybe persuade them, but you can't ultimately make the decision for them. But definitely with the religion thing, sometimes that's part of the reason why people kind of separate themselves from religion later on in life too. I'm not going to make this a big religious rant, but I feel like that's an important part. So yeah, that's a big thing. That's huge.
I completely agree. And like, I'm a Bible believing Christian, and if people ask me, I'll say I don't want to push my agenda, on social media, but that's where I am. But even like, as I've gotten older, I've realized that the church has lost that human connection. Like, it's become about how many people can we baptize, how much money can we, get. Pastors are out here like making calls for money, and people in the church are suffering financially. So that way, when people grow up and they understand how things are, and you might go through a hard situation, you reach out to the church, they pray, but nobody's actually understanding your pain. And then when you get past that pain, and then you realize what happened, then you ask yourself, like, what's the point of going to church if it's not bringing the, like, you go to church to continue healing, but if it's not helping you out, then it's gonna feel like a waste of time, right? Because they're not helping you out with what you actually need. Maybe they're helping with wants, but they're not helping you out with what you actually need. So it's so important for people to realize that. I'm not saying people should leave the church, but I'm saying that even within the church, we need to start talking about, you can go to the pastor and also have a therapist. Like, back where I'm from, like, the pastor was a social worker, the pastor was a nurse, the pastor was a doctor, the pastor was a therapist, the pastor was a finance. The pastor did everything. Like, he was the head of the community. It wasn't even the president. You look to the pastor before the president to give you healing and to speak for the community. But it's okay to have a pastor, and it's okay to have a therapist as well, because the old way hasn't worked. So, like, we have to adjust things,
Yes, definitely. Zay, did you have any thoughts, comments, concerns on religion
Oh,
and how it kind of affects our mental health?
I'm actually just enjoying the conversation between y'all two. I'm taking in so many notes, so much information. I'm just amazed. But y'all both had already hit on it because I'm a man of faith as well. And I do believe like we do have to what's up? We go to church for spiritual healing, and we also need to go to therapy for mental healing because me personally, I believe that yes, our God is the ultimate healer. But at the same time, he made doctors, social workers, lawyers, therapists for
Right.
for a reason. So yes, call on him, but also go to therapy as well. Go get checked as well.
Yes.
Exactly. And some people just have to hear that. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people, even right now, November 2022, who are just now realizing that it's okay to have a doctor
Mm,
and a pastor. Like a lot of people may have thought that they were betraying God, or by going to a like a therapist, you're not trusting in God's ability to heal you. Like it's okay to have both of those. But sometimes we just have to hear that, and sometimes we need people to share their stories. That's why I think it's important for people who are survivors, if you're comfortable, talking about it, to go out there and share your story, or if you were grew up in a religious household and you left, still share your story. Like people need to hear people's stories and see these perspectives, because that way you can make the best decision for yourself, and you can understand that like everybody's living in pain. We all have
mm,
pain, but the people who unfortunately take their lives, they're living in pain, and they don't want to live that way, but they don't believe in their ability to change their life, or they don't believe in their ability to not feel pain as much anymore. So I feel like there's an interesting statistic I've seen where people who are survivors,
mm,
a lot of them never attempt again, which is fascinating. A lot of them never attempt again. Like maybe they had that, come to Jesus, for lack of a better term, moment where they were at their wits' end and they decided to attempt, but for some reason, thankfully, it was unsuccessful. And once they can sit and think about it, because a lot of times suicide is an impulsive thing. Like you're thinking like, I just don't want to feel this way, and I know that there's one way for sure to stop feeling it, this
Mm-hmm.
way. Unfortunately, that way is irreversible and it's permanent, but it is an option. But when you realize that, all right, yeah, I'm living in pain, but there's ways that I can shift my pain, or I can live in pain, but I can have that future, um, or that hope for a brighter future. It can keep people around. So I think it's very important for people to just hear that and to normalize people's pain. Like you have to normalize people's pain, because sometimes, like for example, like I said, I've never been suicidal, I've never attempted. So I have to sit down and think to myself, why would somebody choose to end their life, right?
mm.
Because like I have reasons to live, but at the same time, if I take a step back and I look at all the things that are going on in the world and all the reasons why somebody may want to not be here, you find a lot of reasons: homelessness, economic crisis, lack of human connection,
Mm.
lack of support emotionally, financially. Like it cuts deep. So it's important to just understand that people are living in pain. And once you normalize it, people are like, okay, all right, pain is a part of life. Like you're gonna have painful days and tragic days, and you're gonna have days where you're overjoyed and your team wins the championship or something like that. Like all that's life. But we just have to learn that when we are at our lowest, like we will get past it. Things will get a little bit better. So I think sometimes people just need to hear that, because it's very easy to forget when like you're taking L after L after L after L after L. You lose people, you lose people, you lose your job,
Mm.
you lose your house, you lose your home, you lose your spouse, you lose like for that type of person, it's very difficult for them to find a reason to stay. And acknowledging that their pain is real is probably the first step to giving them a reason to stick around.
Definitely. And piggybacking off of what you said, what what's important to you may not be as important to me, and vice versa. And what's overwhelming or overbearing for me may not be the same for you. You know, it's just different levels. Where two humans with different paths and similar experiences, but totally different journeys, you know? So we just kind of have to keep that in mind as well. And if someone is trusting us with their story, like, take a deep breath, be patient with them, because a lot of times, you know, they're usually full of thoughts. So it'll cause like scatterbrain or brain fog. So you have to just give them a minute to get their thoughts together. And if they seem like they don't know where to start, breathe with them. Let them take 2 deep breaths. Say, take 2 deep breaths with me, because 2 is great. I do my stuff in 2s because I have OCD tendencies. But yeah, take 2 deep breaths. I like that. 2 words. So 2 deep breaths, and then just start. And then, because if you just start, even if you accidentally start at the end, it'll start unfolding for you. Like, okay, wait, no, let me go back. So you just have to be patient. A story, it can take 30 minutes. It may take all day, but take that time out your schedule to save a life. Like that life is so precious. It's so important. You only get one. We're not cats. So we only get one, unfortunately. So, so you have to just be mindful of how precious life is and how short it is. And I really would love it if you don't make yours 10 times as short just because you're feeling a certain kind of way. It's okay that you're feeling this way. I don't want to tell you how to feel. I can't tell you how to feel. I respect the fact that you are feeling this way, but let's just breathe and take a moment and maybe break it down. Because a lot of times we do things based off emotion. And that's kind of how suicide comes about. But a lot of times it's the suffering and silence part that goes ahead and throws us off the edge, for lack of a better term. And after so long of suffering and silence, you're like, oh, okay, well, no one cares. Every time I try to talk to somebody, they just slang oil at me and tell me I'm not praying hard enough, or they throw the Bible at me, throwing all these scriptures at me, or they tell me, oh, I'm crazy, I don't know what I'm talking about, you know. And it's, you can't judge them. Their pain is not your pain. Right. This is not your story. Once again, it is not your story. It is their story. This is how they're feeling. You have to take yourself out of the equation and listen. It won't take long, or it might. I don't know. But take that time out to just listen. You will be so surprised at what having in just one listening ear can do for someone, what a smile can do for someone, a hug. And it's all free. All the things I'm naming are free. It costs nothing to be sweet, to be kind, to say, hey, how you doing? Hey, it seems like you're sad today. You want to talk about that? Or I see that you're upset. Would you like to talk about that? It costs nothing. It won't take long for you to just go over there and check on them, stranger or friend. And I think that's important too, to guide our lives with kindness, because when we're like rude and standoffish, or just straight up bullying people, years of bullying causes mental health issues as well. And I think that's why a lot of young people are dying by suicide, unfortunately, and they don't know where to turn, and no one's taking them seriously. If anyone has an erratic change of behavior, whether it be an upswing or a downswing, because I've seen both, take that serious. If anyone says, hey, I'm thinking about killing myself, no, don't laugh at them and say, oh, you're just crazy, you just talking. Yes, they are talking, but pay that some attention. and say, well, you tell me more about that.
Mm.
I think that's important too. Always try to keep them talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the good thing about keeping them talking is you're keeping them engaged. You know, it's difficult to feel alone when you have a community around you. And if people are asking you these questions, it means that they care. You know, and sometimes based off the question that somebody asks you, you can tell if they care or not. Sometimes if somebody asks you like a yes no question, oh, you're like, ah. But if somebody asks you an open-ended question, like, hey, tell me a little bit about how you're feeling, or I see you're having a difficult time. Like, can you, like, let me know like what's been going on? Like, how have you been? Like, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. Like, what's up? That type of person asking that type of question, that person cares, and you can tell that. Oh, I can actually tell this person what's been going on the last 2 weeks, as opposed to, hey, like you're good, right? Like if somebody's like, hey, you're good. Like, it's kind of like you're talking to them in passing. So there's only one acceptable answer. If you think about it, when somebody says, hey, you're good, you're doing it right, there's only one acceptable answer. Because if you say no, then that person's gonna say like, oh, you're gonna trauma dump on me in the middle of the day. But if you sit down with somebody like, hey, like, like I want to talk for a little bit. Like, let's talk about how you've been. Like, how's your mental? How are you feeling? You getting sleep? You exercising? That's a safe space for somebody to really sit down there and talk. And if somebody is suicidal and like, you know what, I thought about killing myself 2-3 days ago, or something like that, then I think when you hear yourself say that out loud, you actually realize how like big of a you realize what you're saying, right? Because you actually said it out loud. And sometimes the only time people can think about what they want to do is when they actually like do it, because you're moving so fast, right? So sometimes it's, oh my gosh, I tried it. Oh wow. And you think about it and you're like, hold up, I didn't want to do that. And most times you don't want to do it. You really don't want to do it. But you have to do something to get rid of the pain. But you don't want to do that. But for some reason, because of hopelessness, you feel like that's the only thing you can do. So having those conversations are much needed, and I believe that they're life-saving conversations. And if you're able to have that convo with a friend, then you could have saved their life, right? You may not have gone to school, you may not have a medical degree, you may not know what the medical terms even mean, but you may have saved somebody's life. So that's a responsibility that I feel that we have to each other.
Definitely. And speaking of not knowing how to deal with the pain, that's a great segue into I call them healthy distractions, but I think it's actually called healthy coping mechanisms. But I like to call them my little healthy distractions. So journaling is a great one. Like, write it down. Or if you have a phone, dude, there's memo things in your phone. Type it out, write it down, write a poem, write a rap, sing a song, listen to your favorite music, breathing, yoga, meditation. Meditation is a life changer, y'all. Okay, sitting in silence. Well, you got the ocean waves playing in the background. Okay, but I got excited. But yeah, it is great. Go for a drive. Unless you're angry. I do want to say, do not drive under the influence of anger. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. But going for like a nice little cruise for a little while, unless it becomes overbearing for you, then just park somewhere. Make a schedule. A lot of times, our day is packed like Pee-wee Playhouse, as I like to say, and sometimes you just need time to debrief. And sometimes maybe you've overbooked yourself, like, oh man, I have 10 things to do and I've only got an hour to do it. If you're not strong enough to take it day by day, you take things hour by hour, and then when you're strong enough, take them day by day. So you kind of have to just know yourself, and know what's good for you and what isn't. And it's definitely trial and error. Everything about life is trial and error. Dating, school, work, career, everything is trial and error. So, and the same thing with a therapist or a counselor, or even a pastor. Just because you haven't found the one that's for you yet, that doesn't mean you give up on it. You don't give up on yourself. You gotta keep going, baby. And if you don't want to keep going, then I'll keep going for you.
Right.
But I can't want it more than you. And that's
exactly.
That's important too. So I'm here for you. I'm here to encourage you and empower you. But there are a lot of things you can do to help deal with unwanted or uneasy feelings, or emotions. And you can Google some too. You can go to the park. You can take yourself on a self date. There's nothing wrong with taking yourself on a date.
Right.
Right? Any little thing.
No, it's very important, and the other things that people may not have heard, like the first time that I started doing stuff by myself, like maybe in 2015, it was weird, like taking solo trips or going out to eat by yourself. But then you realize that it's kind of liberating. I don't have to wait on anybody to go, and then if I go to an event, I can leave because I drove there, and then you can go hang out with friends when you want to. But it's okay to meditate. It's okay to sit back and relax, and that's why these, the internet, it's a double-edged sword, right? Sometimes with social media, but it's very helpful to know. Like, of course, we're exposed to all this pain and suffering, but at the same time, we're realizing that, hey, there are all these strategies and things that I can do to help myself out right now, and there are people who feel the same way that I feel, and they've still chosen to stick around. So it gives you hope that it can be possible for you. Because sometimes, until you realize that it can happen for you, you don't know, and you just negate that as a potential possibility. So it's good for people to know that, hey, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to struggle. But hey, there are some things that I can do. Like, I'm not helpless. I'm not hopeless. I'm more than capable. And it might be a challenge. Like, it's not going to be easy, right? That's why I'm in a situation where I feel so much pain. But that there are things that I can do to help myself, and there are people that do care about me.
Xavian, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I took all the words out of my mouth, like every single word. I was like, well, it was already said, but definitely just continue being a light. And that's where I get the logo from. The light bulb is, we're all lights, and sometimes other people, and somewhere out there, everyone needs our light. So it's our job to like give them some light, and then help them find their light so they can return the favor, and so on and so on. But yes, I love the conversation that between you two. It was just amazing. It was chef's kiss, because this topic is definitely heavy. It can be very draining. It can be very daunting, and a lot of things. But the way that I was going back and forth, my heart is full, just from taking notes on both sides. But definitely, when we talk about, but one thing I did want to say was, we definitely talk about this topic, and we're asking our loved ones the question, what they're looking for is genuineness, and and what was said earlier, empathy. They don't want sympathy, like I feel bad for you. We need to show empathy, like I am here with you. I love to tell people, I am here with you. What can I do to help you? Just know that I'm not leaving you. We are in this together. I may not have the answer, but we're gonna find the answer together.
Yes.
And that's the main thing I noticed. That they want, that is what they want to hear. That's what they need to hear. Someone is there with them, because it's so easy to trapped in your mind, trapped in your thoughts. It's so easy. It's so easy to feel small, because being transparent, sometimes I feel small. Sometimes, even when I do have a big presence. So I believe all of us have felt small sometime in our life. But definitely keep doing what you're doing. Keep being advocates. If you want to know how you as we wrap up this wonderful live, it was amazing. Shout out to my sister Sha-Sha the Dweeb and Dr. Sarfo for coming on. As we wrap up, here are some other ways you can get involved and be the light in suicide prevention. Well, you can be, like Sha-Sha said, be the one to ask the question, are you thinking about killing yourself, and things of that nature. And then be there with them, help them connect, and then help them get the resources they need. And after you do that, please do not be afraid to follow back up with them and constantly keep showing that continuing care. So definitely doing that. Lives like educating yourself, like you're already doing it. You're watching the suicide prevention live. We're here to educate you and tell you about what to say, how to say it, and go and so much more. Also QPR training. QPR training is our mental health way of CPR. So if you know what CPR is, we're trying what's CPR again?
I'm gonna say it's cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
So like yes. So you need putting the air back, putting the air back. I just call it putting the air back into your lungs.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
So yes, we're put QPR is the mental health version, and it stands for question, persuade, refer. And we have a wonderful resource called Alabama Suicide Prevention and Resource Coalition, also known as also known as ASPARC. We offer virtual and also in-person trainings as well. So all you have to help you get certified, it is definitely a nice resource. You're not being the therapist, but basically you're being the gatekeeper, because you are the one to help them keep them safe, help them get the resources that they need. Of course, we have the suicide prevention hotline on the right. For those who don't know, it went from this big 800 number to just 3 numbers, 988. You call, and if I remember correctly, and Dr. Sarfo, please feel free to chime in. When you call the number, you'll be connected to a crisis counselor, and you'll be able to get the mental health care that you need. And Dr. Sarfo, is there anything about 988 that we should tell our listeners?
The only thing I'll say, yeah, I came off. Yeah. The only thing I want to say is that, continue to, utilize 988, and I think people understand that 988 has replaced the suicide hotline, but I do want to add that there are warm lines as well. Sometimes people don't feel, necessarily suicidal, but there are warm lines where you can call and just have somebody to talk to. And, that might be something that you can do if you don't feel comfortable calling 988, but just understand that there are people who want to hear you out, and that people would rather talk to you than to, have to go to your funeral.
Love it. I'm glad you actually said that, because we do have a crisis here in Birmingham, and even if you're not in Birmingham, this line is 24 hours. We have the Crisis Center, which is 205-323-777. So even if you're not feeling suicidal, you just want to talk to someone, or you're in crisis, whatever you need, you can call that number as well. And then if you don't feel like talking to someone, we have the crisis text line 741-741 as well. So there are resources here for you, because you belong here, and we love you, we see you, and we hear you. And then Sha-Sha's favorite phrase to say. What's your favorite phrase, Sha-Sha?
Good luck on your journey.
What's that? No, that one, but it was.
You are loved, seen, and heard.
Yes, that is.
You just said that.
What's that? Oh, well,
you said it for me. I didn't get to say it.
That's true. But I just love it how you say it. Like it hits different when you say it. So like Sha-Sha said that you are loved, seen, and heard. So as we unfortunately we are out of time, but we hope that you feel empowered, you feel educated, and you're ready to join us in the fight for suicide prevention. Also, November, for those in town in Birmingham, Alabama, November 6th, this Sunday at 2:30 is American Foundation Suicide Prevention for Alabama Suicide Prevention Walk. We have partnered with A-Spark and we have the B team. You can come on out and you can sign up. I will be putting at the end of this live, I'll be putting down the links so you can sign up and join us in the join us in the fight for join us in the fight to fight suicide.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also,
listen.
registration is free because I know that's a big thing. People want to know, well, how much is it? Baby, it's free. FREE, that spells free. Okay, it's free. Sign up and join me. Okay.
Yes, and the location is Veterans Park. But all the information will be sent right after this live. But remember that we love you, we see you, we hear you, and we're gonna see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thank you for having me.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
coming.
Thank you.